aprender nuevas cosas. Okay, great. So welcome everybody. How are you? Great, Arelis. Who else is connected? Let's see. Great. Welcome, Arelis. Here we have Freddy and Leandro and Luis Fernando. How are you guys? Okay, great. Freddy, welcome. So today we are going to talk about client and supplier negotiations. So tell me, do you have any clients or suppliers? Do you work with clients and suppliers? Okay, great. So Arelis has clients in English. What about Freddy or Danitza or maybe Luis Fernando? Do you have any clients or suppliers at work or doing business with? Okay, so Arelis has clients and she talks in English with them. Is it right, Arelis? Do you speak in English with your clients? Ah, okay, by email. So you don't talk with them. You just have to write. Okay, you just have to write in English. Okay? I need to practice more. Yeah, we all need to practice more. That's people. So today we are going to learn about negotiation with clients and suppliers. Okay? All of this is with a with a international business perspective. Okay, so we are studying in a international business education center like CAMEX. So we have to talk about international business. So you are going to help me now with three questions. Okay, so I suppose you see these two pictures. Please, which picture reflects international businesses? Which is related to international business? So, which photo is related to international business? Can you pick, please pick or select a photo? Okay, Areli says first. What about Danitza or Freddy or Guillermo, Leandro? Welcome. First, okay. And why not the second picture? Why? Okay, you see the second picture, you see a young man who is buying a shirt in a store, and someone is trying to help him um, buy or select the product. Yeah, Arelis, you are totally right. It shows a local business or store. Yeah, you know what we do in Peru when we go to a supermarket or when we go to the market or when we buy at the street, we are not part of an international business, okay? Because buying uh, we are buying something in our country, okay? So we are not um, having any kind of relations with clients or suppliers from another country, okay? So, so you did a great job with this one. Now, please help me with this. Between these two pictures, who is the customer? Who is the, can you tell me? Okay, so who is the customer between these two pictures? The man in shirt. Okay, the man who is trying to buy the shirt. Is that what you try to say, Arelis? So it would be left or right picture. Actually, it's photo. So left or right photo. Right. Yeah, that's it. Okay. Yeah. So in this case, the customers is the young man who is trying to buy the shirt. And same pictures, same photos. Who is the provider? Who is the provider? Yeah, of course. Very good, Freddy. The picture at the left, the photo at the left, shows the provider, okay? Because probably they are producing the shirt that is going to be sold in a store, okay? And they are going to sell to the store. Yes, tell me, Arelis. What is the difference between provider and supplier? Well, actually, it's the same thing. So here I'm uh, using a different word. So we can say the provider and supplier are synonyms. Okay? Well, and here, same photos. Who is the intermediary? Who would be the intermediary? The provider and the customer. The salesperson, the woman. Okay, maybe Freddy or Guillermo have another answer. Juan Marcelo Jurbelis. The woman would be the intermediary. Close, but I think that's not the answer. Who is the intermediary? Yeah, Freddie, you are right, and Arelis is also right. You know, the intermediary is what we know as trader or broker, okay? Intermediary are all the people, institutions, and companies who are between the final consumer, which is this young man, and the primary supplier or producer. Okay, so in this case, the intermediary could be the store or could be the broker who presented the supplier with the store. Okay, so now you can see that we have at least three participants of international business chain. Okay, so we have the customer or user, the supplier, or as we said here, the provider, and also the intermediary. Okay, so we have three actors. Did you understand this part? Understand this part? Please answer in the chat box. Hi, Janice. Maybe you have trouble with the tool or your internet connection, or maybe the window that you are navigating with is not completely open, so you only see one. But I believe that the rest um, of the class can see both pictures. Maybe I believe Alair is here from Camex. Uh, I saw Aldair connected. I'm going to ask him to help you. Okay, so let's continue. So now we are entering to our main theory. And we are going to start with two concepts, okay? First, you have international logistics, okay, which is all the process that includes planning, instrumentation, and the delivery of processed and finished goods, which is products, okay? And also all the effective flow from the point of origin, that is the provider, and the point of final consumption where the client or a consumer is. Okay, so international logistics is part of international business, um, uh, the discipline of international business. And also we have physical distribution, which I believe you may have heard, because uh, this international physical distribution is well known because they um, developed all these Incoterm, which is the general conditions and terms where the transactions are negotiated. So, do you know anything about Incoterms? Have you worked applying Incoterms? Okay, so the Incoterms are the terms which are negotiated between the seller and the buyer. Okay, in this course, I'm just going to mention these terms, okay, because you have another two courses which are more specialized for international business. Okay, I'm just going to mention the general concepts of Incoterms. Okay, remember that you also have English for international business and English applied to important business. Okay, so in this case, we are just going to see the general concept. Okay, so when you buy or sell with a company from another country, you have to establish some um, conditions about the price, the responsibility, who is going to be the responsible for each part of the logistic chain. Okay? So it's very important that now that you are entering into international business, you manage the many different terms uh, for buying or selling. Okay? Hello, Julio Cesar. Welcome to the class. So, internationalization. What is this about? So, first, you have to understand that when you start a business, first you are going to test the market. You are going to enter to the market in a shy way, we can say, in Spanish. Tomen en cuenta que cuando ustedes entran a un mercado internacional, primero van a comenzar a explorar el negocio y entrar de una manera un poco tímida, por decirlo de una manera, ¿ok? ¿Por qué? Porque al inicio ustedes van a comenzar a exportar, pero montos pequeños, volúmenes pequeños y de manera poco frecuente, porque están primero conociéndose con su cliente, están conociendo el país, están conociendo cómo es la demanda, cómo compran, cómo está la competencia, qué es el tipo de cambio, los términos de pago, qué tan buen pagador es, etcétera, etcétera. Okay? So I'm going to switch to English. And then once you know a little bit more about the market, about your client, and how they behave or how they manage to do business, okay? you you are going to start to go more uh, frequently to that country are you and maybe you are going to um, think about establishing in that country or opening a store or maybe to make more contact networks and many other things. Okay, for example, I believe that uh, I've seen many of you connected in our sessions. I told you about that. I've lived in Panama for many years, okay? And from my experience, I saw many Peruvian um, business owners who went to Panama and wanted to export to Panama, and other ones who wanted to import to Peru and buy in Panama. Okay? So one of the main mistakes that I saw there is that they didn't take the time to understand the country, the culture, and expand the network, okay? Because they went just for a few days and they maybe they didn't do their homework because they didn't know much about the country. They didn't try to contact the commercial office in advance. Um, they maybe they planned their trip in month that was not so business related, to say a little bit, because, for example, in February and November, Panama um, just stop, okay, because they have Carnival and they have their Independence Days and they have a lot of holidays, and you don't find people in the office. So it was kind of, if you had prepared and if you maybe in, search a little bit about the country, you would have known that that wasn't a good day to um, travel. Okay, so you really have to do your homework if you want to establish an open business in another country. Okay, that's why we have to be very careful when we invest to to internationalize our business. Okay, so I believe we all know about negotiation, okay? But we also have to understand that we have to focus in the success of our negotiation process, okay? And it really depends on understanding the needs and the interests of the other party, okay, of our client, of our provider, of the government officer, of the custom agent, and many other stakeholders that we can engage, okay, that we can work with, okay. And then we have to understand how we can persuade that person to accept an agreement that trusts and theirs, okay. So please, people, tell me, have you ever negotiate with a company from outside of, which is an international company? Have you ever negotiate with a company outside of Peru, or which is an international company? Please answer in the chat. Okay, so we have someone who negotiated with Chinese people. And Arelis works in tourism. Okay, of course, you have negotiated with many clients. Okay, and your Arelis is going to wait for her first negotiation. Okay, great. So, for people who already negotiated with international people, is it the same as negotiating with Peruvian? Is it the same to negotiate with foreign people than Peruvian people? So, yeah, you are right. They have different culture. And when the culture is different, the term behave and how they manage a negotiation is very different. Okay, so in a commercial and international negotiation, we have to understand that both parties, both sides, aim to reach agreements. Okay, and in this special case, it's mostly about goods, but we can also have services as tourism sector, for example. Okay, so we are going to see two examples of the main aspects to consider in most common negotiation. Okay, I see Camilo negotiated with Chinese people. Camilo, can you share which kind of products did you buy to the Chinese people, or maybe you export and sell to them? Can you share which goods, which goods did you trade with Chinese people? Okay, so you exported fish meal. Why? What kind of fish meal? Is it fresh? Maybe dried? Maybe packed? Fresh, dried, packed. Okay, the fish meal and fish oil. The fish meal is dry, okay, and packed 50 kilograms. Okay, so as you can see, Camilo already established the product, and he established that he has at least two different products. One is fish oil and the other one is fish meal. So if we relate his example to this slide, he has two types of products, which is the first uh, the first item that you see here. Okay, he he said dried, so he said dried meal. Okay, so they are two types and range of the products. So maybe he has some quality standards because with fish products they have some basic standards that they have to attain in order to export. So which kind of quality standards do you have to attain? If it's not quality, you can say sanitary standards. Do you have to attain? Okay, because international clients are very demanding. They are more severe than our local business. Okay, so we can buy any kind of fish, but if we want to export, we need to accomplish some very strict rules about the origin, about how they are, um, uh, where they grow, and what kind of um, treatment they have, how they are packed, and any other requirements. Okay, he says, yes, the quality is super prime and prime fish meal. Okay, so uh, for example, to export a product, you have to uh, ask for some sanitary permissions, and also you need an origin certificate, for example. Okay, so these all requirements you are going to learn about in our other program of CAMEX, but I wanted to mention them because you really need to understand these terms because your client is going to talk about them, okay? So, of course, you also have quantities and the price. Of course, you have to understand if the price that is established includes the transport, the uh, uh, costs, additional costs, and other things, okay? And also delivery conditions. So where are you going to deliver the packaging, okay? Is it in his door? Is it in his um, maybe he has another place to keep those things and any other conditions, okay? Also, you have the condition and payment terms. So, Camilo, in your experience, did you have to establish all these conditions to export? Maybe your Chinese client ask about the price and want to know about the quantity. He or she also established the delivery terms and maybe who is going to be responsible for in case the product is not perfect. Yes, yes, it's very important to establish all conditions, okay? Why is that? Because in case you have any problem, it's better to establish all the terms so you can understand who is going to be responsible for each part, okay? Especially because in most cases the problem comes when the product or the shipment is outside of Peru and you don't have any contact or you don't have any control about that, so you have to be in constant communication with your um, custom agent or maybe your logistic provider, okay? So let's go to the second example. And this is when you have a distribution contract, okay? Camilo, in your case, do you have this relationship with the direct clients, or maybe you sell to a broker or distribution partner and then they sell to the final client, which would be the case for you? So Camilo, did you sell directly to the client or through a distribution partner? Okay, so in this case, this is your slide because when you have a broker or distribution contract, you have another extra terms to establish, okay? Which could be commercials, okay? Because the broker is going to um, ask you to help him or her to push and to promote your product, okay? Because what they most want is to buy and sell very rapidly, okay? They don't want to manage much stock. So your product has to move very quickly, okay? You also have to talk about the range of the product, which is the diversity of your product line. Okay, you're going to talk about a geographic area because sometimes the broker wants some kind of exclusiveness because they want to be the only provider of this kind of product in their geographic area because that gives them some competitive advantage and strength when they are trying to um, put your product in a commercial store. Okay. Also, you're going to talk about delivery and payment is same as, and sometimes you have to talk about discounts because not every exporting project is successful, okay? But once you deliver the product, it's more expensive to return. They're going to talk first, they're going to establish some commercial or selling objectives, and if your product doesn't shows good performance to say it in some way, they are going to ask you to discount some part of the shipment because or maybe they want to sell it right away, or maybe your product doesn't have a very long life and it could be off the due date. Okay. Um, Sometimes the brokers could also ask for non-competition agreements. So they are going to expect that you respect their commercial relationship with the final client. So you don't go directly to their client and they lose business, okay? And of course, the causes of termination of the contract with them. Okay, so here we have a example of what could happen when we negotiate with a client, okay? So let's suppose that we are color fruits, okay? And I'm going to give you 3 minutes to read this um, case, and then we're going to talk about what it is and why it happened and what happened with the company or with the provider and everything with it. Okay, so let's take 3 minutes. Let's take 3 minutes. Read this case. Okay, so we are back. So people, what did you understand about this business case? What did you understand about color fruits? What's their problem? What went wrong? What went wrong? And what's the problem? So, color fruits could be many Peruvian foods that started to export to a country and they didn't know much about it. Okay, okay, okay. Freddy, I'm going to correct your phrase, which is correct, but it just has some minor mistake. So there there isn't a proper packing. Okay, no hay o no existe un empaquetado apropiado. Okay, so yeah, it seems that the packing is one of the most difficult issues here. But what else? What's which is the other problem that they have? Come on, people, in the chat box. Service was not adequate. Okay, yeah. Okay, you are all right. Okay, thank you for your answers. So let's answer these two questions. What could have happened so that color fruits did not deliver merchandise in optimal conditions to its final destination? I believe Camilo and Freddy have the answer for this question. What could have happened so that colored fruits did not deliver the merchandise in optimal conditions to its final destination? Do you understand the question? They will lose the client if the product doesn't have optimal condition. It's probably that the product returns. Okay. Okay. In this asking about the cost. Okay. What cost that color fruits did not deliver the merchandise in optimal conditions. Okay, what would be the cause? I believe Camilo has some kind of answer because he talks about the transport service. Yeah, it was not optimal. And in answer number two, if you were the advisor in foreign trade operation of the sporting company, what recommendation would you have given for the distribution of the merchandise? Color fruit should have a contingency plan. Yeah, like a plan B or uh, maybe if they would have uh, at, would have searched for an advisor so they could understand the responsibilities about this because even if his provider or even if their provider didn't act well, it's Color Fruit's responsibility. So they have to cover the extra cost or the losses or losing a client, which is worse because they maybe they work so hard to get the client and now they kind of don't have a good relationship with them. Okay, for example, having others. Yeah, you're right. Okay, people, so today we have explored a little bit about the international logistic chain. We have talked about the three main actors in international businesses. We also talk about the main aspects or terms that we have to consider when negotiating, okay? And also we saw a business case about color fruits to discuss a little bit about what could happen if we don't plan or we don't have a plan B or we don't um, advise our advice who have more experience than us. Okay, that's why we are here. We are learning, we are practicing, and everything else. Okay. So I'm going to close this class. Hope you understand a little bit more about negotiation, about English for negotiating with clients and suppliers, and hope everything went well. Okay, so people, I hope you have a great week, and I suppose that the Camex team is going to send you the links for the material and also for the test. Okay, so do you have any other question that I can help? Thank you, Freddie. Okay, hope you have a great week and see you next class. Goodbye.